Hey, so I had a request the other day to do a post about label reading and kind of what to look for. And so I have a few food props with me, and I wanted to go over a few things today, just some kind of basics to get you started. So my first prop is just some Sargento aged white cheddar cheese slices. So the first thing I always do with any food is, one, look at the serving size and then how many servings are in the container. It's pretty obvious with like single serving cheese that a serving's one slice, but like I have some Marcona almonds. This is a little bit different. There's 6 servings in here, a serving's a quarter cup. If I had this in the car with me, if I wasn't paying attention, I could probably eat the whole thing over a couple hours drive. So, obviously that's something that you just want to be aware of so that you can kind of decide, what is this food doing for you? And do you need to eat the whole bag, or should you stick to a single serving? Okay, so back to my cheese. So the next thing, my son's kind of getting in the way here. So look at the serving size. This is one slice, about 20 grams, calories 80. So you can always kind of take note of that. And then I always think of, what is this food giving me, right? So cheese is predominantly fat and protein. So you shouldn't be getting a lot of carbohydrates. You shouldn't be getting a lot of fiber. It should probably be a decent source of fat and, like I said, protein. Now, I don't like the fat-free cheese. To me, cheese is supposed to have fat in it. And so if you buy a fat-free cheese, they're basically taking out the fat and having to replace it with something else, which, one, doesn't make it taste usually very good and is just kind of creepy. So I don't mind that this has 20 grams or 20% of your saturated fat, 4 grams, because I'm just going to kind of take that into account to whatever I'm eating this with, right? As if it's a meal or a snack. The other thing I always like to look at is, instead of the total carbohydrates, which is what everybody kind of gets hung up on these days, is the added sugars, which, again, cheese should have 0 grams of added sugar because it's pretty much all fat and protein. And then for the purpose of surgery, especially if you're early or post-op, it's nice to look and see how many grams it's going to give you. Most cheese for 1 ounce is going to give you somewhere between, 6 to 8 grams. This is probably slightly less than a true ounce, and so it's going to only give you 5. But that's still a pretty decent source of protein if you're thinking of this as like a snack or as part of a meal. So there's the cheese. Nuts are kind of going to be the same thing. I'm not looking at nuts to get a whole lot of carbohydrate. There will be a little bit and some fiber, which is great, but it's mostly going to be your fats and some protein. And then again, the 0 grams of added sugar. So that's what I really like to look at. It doesn't have to be 0, but preferably it's like 5 grams or less for most foods that you're eating. Now, not everything, but most foods should be like that. So if it's more than 5 grams of added sugar, you really want to think about what the food is, how you're eating it, why you're eating it. If it's a special treat, awesome, great, no big deal. But if it's something that you're having, every day or multiple times a day, that's something to really reconsider and to think about, is there a better choice? Is there something else that you could have that would maybe be less added sugar, that would still be similar, or that would still taste good to you? So just to give you an idea. So there's that. And then you can see the fiber. There's a good 4 grams of fiber in these almonds. So not only are you getting 6 grams of protein for a quarter cup serving, and some really good heart healthy fats, by the way, but you're also getting 4 grams of fiber, which is one of the really big reasons I love people having nuts and seeds, because not only do you get all of those other benefits of the heart healthy fat and the protein, but the fiber is so great. And that's such a hard thing for a lot of people to get enough of after surgery. So there's my plug for nuts. And then my last 2 props, I have some tart cherries here. These are a favorite snack of my kids. But if you look at the label, they're essentially just like a gummy, right? They're not, even though it's technically fruit, so many fruits have a lot of added sugar, especially cherries. They soak them in this sugar solution before they dry them out. So you can see here, it has 13 grams of added sugar. So that's quite a bit, 26% of your, daily allowance per the RDA, if you will. Serving's a third of a cup here, no fiber. So you get, even though this is a dried fruit, this specific product doesn't have any fiber in it and a lot of sugar. So just something to take note of. Again, we do have these in our house. I do let the kids eat them occasionally, but it's not an everyday thing, and it is kind of like a treat or a dessert. So take note. And then the last thing I have is a cereal. This is a Kashi kind of wheat biscuit cereal, and it's an island vanilla flavor. Sorry guys, hold on. This is hard to do with one hand. So, a serving size here is 29 biscuits. Now, after surgery, there's no way you're going to be able to eat that. It's just the amount of fiber and the volume is probably just going to be too much. But most people could probably do somewhere between like a third of a cup to a half of a cup. It just kind of depends. Now, if you see, it's obviously very low in fat. So this is a wheat biscuit cereal. So I'm not looking at this to get a whole lot of fat or protein. There'll probably be a little bit of protein in it, but it's mostly going to be, a complex carbohydrate, hopefully, and some fiber. And then we're going to see the sugar so we can kind of evaluate if it's worth it or not. So the fats, again, I'm not expecting to get a lot there, so I'm not really worried about that. Total carbohydrates are 47 grams. I know a lot of my people that have done keto or Atkins are probably having a heart attack right now when they see that number. And then your dietary fiber is 6 grams. So soluble is 1 gram, insoluble is 5. So it's a really big source of fiber, especially if you're struggling with irregular bowel movement. That insoluble fiber is going to be a big bulking agent to help you stay regular. Total sugar is 9 grams, and all of that added sugar is added. So something to consider. But then your protein is 7 grams. So a lot of your more whole grain carbohydrates, so 100% whole wheat, 100% whole barley, whole oats, quinoa, brown rice, those are going to have more protein in them. Now, it's not technically a complete protein source, so it's not the same as eating like an egg or an ounce of fish or some tofu, but it's still really good protein. So to kind of think about it like that, and then all of these different vitamins and minerals. So this is one food that, even though there's more than the 5 grams of added sugar, because I'm getting so much fiber and the protein from this is something that I would consider to have, relatively frequently. One thing that you could do, and that we do at our house, is I mix this flavored biscuit cereal with like a traditional wheat biscuit cereal that's not like the shredded wheat that's not seasoned or doesn't have any seasoning in it or any flavorings or sugars in it. And that way you get, some of the flavor that you like. It makes it a little bit more exciting, but you won't get as much sugar that's in here. Okay. So there you go. I'll leave it there for now so this video doesn't get too long. But let me know if you guys have any questions. I hope you can read these labels. Sometimes I know the videos get a little bit blurry. So I hope this one's a little bit easier to read or to view. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. If there's a specific food item that you're curious about, let me know and I can talk about that specifically. All right. Thanks, guys.